It's no fault of Elvis. He loved the song.
Dolly Parton, America's golden sweetheart and country music's most trusted face, has spent decades winning hearts with her voice, her charm, and that unforgettable smile. But let's be real, behind that polished image was a whole lot of tension that never made the front page. People smiled next to her on camera and praised her in interviews, but behind closed doors, things got messy fast. Doors slammed, friendships cracked, and harsh words flew when the cameras were off. One singer flat out said they would never work with her again. Another allegedly tried to grab credit for one of her biggest hits. And even though Dolly tried to keep it classy and quiet, the truth finally came out about the 5 singers she absolutely hated working with. So what really went down when nobody was watching? And why does some of those old grudges still sting today? Once you hear the full story, Dolly Parton won't look the same anymore. You might know Dolly for the sky-high hair, the glittering outfits, and a voice so powerful it feels unreal. But her real story is even more shocking than her image. Her rise from nothing to music royalty didn't come easy, and it was loaded with drama people love to ignore. While the world sees her as the queen of kindness, there are certain industry names that still carry serious tension. Dolly isn't someone who chases drama, which is exactly why those clashes mattered so much. To understand who she fell out with, you first have to understand where she came from and why she never forgot a slight. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19, 1946 in a tiny one-room cabin in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, and life was anything but glamorous. She grew up in a loving but struggling household with 12 kids packed into a simple mountain home. Her father, Lee Parton, worked non-stop as a farmer and construction man and couldn't read or write, but Dolly always said he was the smartest man she ever knew. Her mother, Avie Lee, had all 12 children before turning 35 and passed down a deep love for music, faith, and storytelling that shaped Dolly forever. Music wasn't just fun in that house, it was survival. With no money for entertainment, the kids sang in church and harmonized on the porch just to get through the day. Dolly's talent couldn't stay hidden long. Her family noticed her voice early, and by age 10, she was already performing on local radio and TV in Knoxville. Not long after that, she found herself stepping onto the Grand Ole Opry stage, something most singers only dream about. The day after graduating high school in 1964, she packed her bags and headed straight for Nashville with zero money, zero connections, and confidence louder than the Smoky Mountains she left behind. When Dolly joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967, everything flipped overnight. Millions of people were suddenly watching her every single week on TV. Her duets with Porter exploded fast, and fans couldn't get enough of their chemistry, tight harmonies, and Dolly's star power jumping through the screen. By the early 70s, she made a bold move and launched her solo career. And once she did, there was no stopping her at all. Then Jolene dropped in 1973 and turned into a full-blown anthem that still hits hard today. Right after that came I Will Always Love You, a song that went worldwide and locked her legacy forever. And yes, before anyone says it, Whitney Houston's version came way later and turned the song into one of the biggest hits in music history. But here's the twist. Dolly kept the rights. That single decision made her millions, and she never once flexed about it. By the 1980s, Dolly was everywhere you looked. Movies, music, merch, endorsements, you name it, she touched it. She starred in 9 to 5 alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin and proved she wasn't just a singer with big hair, she could act too. Then came one of her boldest moves ever, Dollywood. In 1986, she opened her own theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. While other celebrities were chasing yachts and flashy toys, Dolly built something for her hometown to create jobs and lift the local economy. And don't get it twisted, that sweet smile hides a sharp business brain. Dolly is one of the smartest women in entertainment, period. She's written thousands of songs, stacked up Grammys and Lifetime Awards, and even earned a spot in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not bad for someone who grew up without running water. But her impact goes way deeper than fame and money. Through her imagination library, Dolly has given away millions of books to children, making sure kids can read no matter where they live. Over the years, she built this image of being kind, humble, and completely above the mess. But even a Southern angel has limits. And as time went on, certain names kept coming up again and again. People who underestimated her, people who tried to control her, people who thought they could take credit for her shine. Porter Wagoner had already built a serious name for himself with charm, confidence, and a voice that could slice straight through a crowd. He wasn't just a singer standing at a mic, he was a full-blown showman who knew how to command attention. By the 1960s, he was running The Porter Wagoner Show, one of the biggest syndicated country music TV shows in America, and that gave him real power. On stage, everything looked flashy and fun, but behind the scenes, Porter was sharp, business-minded, and very old-school about control. He knew what sold, and the moment he saw Dolly Parton, he knew she was special. When Dolly joined Porter's show, replacing the previous female singer, Norma Jean, things got ugly fast. Fans who loved Norma Jean were not feeling the switch at all. Dolly was booed on stage, and some viewers even sent angry letters telling her she didn't belong. It was rough, loud, and uncomfortable, but Porter stood firm and refused to let her go. And Dolly didn't crack. She stayed polite, calm, and locked in because she knew she had something to prove. Before long, the noise died down and the magic kicked in. Their harmonies were electric, their chemistry jumped off the screen, and suddenly they were unstoppable. Together, they stacked up more than a dozen top 10 hits, and on camera, they looked like the perfect country music dream team. Smiles everywhere, applause non-stop, success rolling in fast. But behind those polished smiles, pressure was building hard. Porter didn't just want to sing alongside Dolly, he reportedly wanted control over her entire career. He managed her bookings, influenced what songs they recorded, and had the final say on most business decisions. To him, that was just how things worked. But Dolly wasn't just a pretty voice standing next to him. She was a songwriter, a strategist, and a woman with her own vision. Years later, that same platform that once lifted Dolly up started to feel like a cage closing in fast. Still, she didn't walk away right away. Dolly knew Porter owed her a lot, and that loyalty weighed heavy on her heart. But by 1973, the tension had reached a breaking point. And by 1974, she finally made the move that shocked everyone. She left the Porter Wagoner Show. To the public, it looked calm and respectful, like a clean break between two stars. But behind closed doors, that was only the beginning of the storm. 5 years after Dolly walked away, Porter came back swinging hard, with lawyers involved. In 1979, he sued Dolly for a staggering $3 million, claiming she broke her contract. He said she owed him money for management fees, show expenses, and even a cut of her income after leaving the show. Dolly was blindsided. She had always seen Porter as a mentor, someone who helped shape her early career, even if their ending wasn't pretty. This lawsuit felt like a straight-up betrayal, and things got tense fast. There were public statements, media buzz, and non-stop industry whispers flying everywhere. Still, Dolly refused to drag him publicly. Instead of fighting it out in court, she quietly settled the case behind the scenes. Later, she explained that she didn't want revenge, she just wanted freedom. That decision said everything about her character, even when the situation hurt deeply. Emotionally, the whole ordeal hit Dolly hard. Porter wasn't just a business partner, he was someone who mattered to her at the start of her journey. They had made history together, topped charts together, and built something massive side by side. And yet, he couldn't let her go without a fight. Dolly once explained it perfectly in an interview, saying, When I was trying to leave the show, I had told Porter I'd stay 5 years. It had been 5, and it was 6, and it was 7. He was just having a really hard time because it was going to mess up his show. We were very bound and tied together in so many emotional ways, and he just would not hear it." That quote hit hard. Their feud was never just about money. It ran way deeper than that. It exposed a side of Porter that Dolly said she had never seen before, and that realization reportedly hurt her more than the lawsuit itself. But time has a way of changing even the deepest wounds. By the late 1980s, after years of silence and bad blood, the two slowly started speaking again. Then in 2002, Dolly shocked everyone when she inducted Porter Wagoner into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Standing on that stage, she openly spoke about how much she meant to her, even through all the pain and conflict. That whole experience with Porter became one of the most complicated chapters in Dolly's career, and it shaped her more than most people ever realized. But just when you think that was the hardest clash she faced, another name enters the picture. And this one shocked not just Dolly, but the entire music world. This next situation didn't involve contracts or lawsuits, but words that cut deep and left lasting tension. Dolly Parton versus Linda Ronstadt. At one point, they were seen as the ultimate dream team. 3 powerhouse women, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris, joined forces to create the legendary album Trio. Their voices blended so perfectly it felt unreal, and the music still gives people chills today. On the surface, it looked like pure sisterhood and mutual respect, but behind the scenes, things weren't nearly as smooth, especially between Dolly and Linda. What started as a shared musical vision slowly drifted toward a full-blown clash, stretching all the way back to the mid-1970s. All 3 women were already stars in their own lanes and deeply admired each other's work. They talked for years about collaborating, but clashing schedules and record label politics kept pushing everything back. It wasn't until 1987 that Trio finally dropped, and when it did, it exploded. The album went platinum, topped the country charts, and even took home a Grammy. But while the final product sounded effortless, the recording sessions were anything but peaceful. Dolly was known for working fast and trusting her instincts, often knocking out songs in 1 or 2 takes. Linda, on the other hand, was a full-on perfectionist who could spend hours chasing the perfect vocal. Emmylou found herself stuck in the middle, constantly trying to keep things calm and balanced. Dolly later admitted that working with Linda felt intense. She described Linda as someone who loved living in the studio and taking her time, while Dolly preferred to keep things moving. Dolly even said there were moments she wanted to yell out of pure frustration. The clash in working styles became impossible to ignore, and tension simmered beneath the surface for everyone to see. Despite all that, the trio attempted a second album in 1994 titled Trio 2. They recorded it, but label drama and scheduling issues delayed its release again and again. When the album finally came out in 1999, the magic was still there, but the relationships had already taken a hit. Linda didn't hold back at all when it came to airing her frustrations. She openly claimed that Dolly would cancel plans, show up late, or switch things around at the last minute, and that drove her crazy. Linda even said Dolly was never on time and described her as a little flaky, words that definitely stung. But for Linda, it went deeper than scheduling issues. She felt Dolly didn't fully respect the long, exhausting studio process or the level of commitment the project demanded. In her eyes, Dolly seemed more focused on her booming solo career than the group effort, and that left a sour taste that never fully went away. That tension created real friction between them. Linda made it clear she had no interest in working with Dolly again, and she didn't sugarcoat it. She later admitted that what was supposed to be a joyful, once-in-a-lifetime collaboration felt spoiled by what she saw as Dolly's lack of professionalism. Those comments echoed loudly in the industry and caught Dolly completely off guard. Of course, time softened things slightly. Years later, Linda and Dolly showed small signs of reconciliation, appearing cordial and respectful in public. But the awkwardness never fully disappeared. It's clear both women still carried emotional baggage from those sessions. They weren't openly hostile, but they also didn't go out of their way to rebuild that friendship. The trio legacy lived on. Fans celebrated the music, but Linda's words lingered in Dolly's memory, leaving a quiet sting that never fully faded. Now let's talk about a clash that almost happened but didn't, and involved one of the biggest legends in music history, Elvis Presley. When you hear the name Elvis, you think of the king of rock and roll, a global icon who reshaped music forever. And then there's Dolly Parton, the country queen whose songwriting turned her into a legend in her own right. Two giants, two worlds, one unforgettable moment that nearly connected them and then blew up. It all centers around Dolly's iconic ballad, "I Will Always Love You." Written in 1973, the song was deeply personal and emotional for Dolly. It was her farewell to Porter Wagoner and her declaration of independence as a solo artist. What started as private goodbye quickly became one of the most beloved country songs ever. Dolly poured her heart into every line, and when it was released, it exploded with success. What Dolly didn't expect was that Elvis Presley wanted the song too. His team reached out and word spread fast that the king himself wanted to record it. At the time, Elvis was unstoppable, famous for taking songs and turning them into massive hits. Naturally, Dolly was flattered and honored by the interest. Colonel Parker reportedly wanted at least 50% of the royalties from any song Elvis recorded, and that was a hard no for Dolly. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect for her craft and ownership of her voice. Dolly knew the value of her work and refused to let anyone box her in or take advantage of her talent. She stood her ground and told Elvis's manager, "This is the most important copyright in my whole publishing company, and I can't do that." That moment changed everything. Dolly later shared how hurt she felt by the deal Elvis's team put in front of her. Even though she admired him deeply as an artist, the offer felt like a setup meant to corner her into giving up control. That realization stung badly. According to Dolly, Elvis genuinely loved the song and truly wanted to record it. She felt sympathy for him, but she also knew that giving in would open the door for other powerful managers to pressure her the same way, and Dolly was not about to let that happen. The tension between Dolly and Elvis wasn't just business, it turned personal fast. While she stayed respectful in public, Dolly later admitted she didn't believe Elvis ever fully forgave her for saying no. She described him as sensitive, and while he never lashed out directly, there was a clear emotional shift afterwards. That quiet distance hurt her deeply, especially since she had so much respect for him. Still, standing firm turned out to be one of the smartest decisions of her life. Years later, Whitney Houston covered "I Will Always Love You" and turned it into one of the biggest songs in music history. The track reached a whole new generation and earned Dolly millions in royalties. Despite everything, Dolly never regretted her decision. She has said she felt proud for standing up for herself, even when it meant pushing back against one of the biggest stars of all time. But Elvis wasn't the last person to test Dolly's patience. For someone as kind, humble, and drama-averse as Dolly Parton, it takes a lot to truly upset her. But in 2008, one man crossed a line that shocked fans everywhere, and that man was Howard Stern. Known for his loud, controversial style, Stern built his career on pushing limits and stirring reactions. His radio show dominated the 80s and 90s, earning him devoted fans and fierce critics. In 2008, Dolly found herself at the center of a scandal she never asked for. Stern's team edited together clips from Dolly's audiobook, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, creating a fake interview using her real voice. The audio was manipulated to make it sound like Dolly was saying extremely offensive and inappropriate things about other artists, and even herself. It was framed as humor, but many felt it crossed a serious line. The segment aired, laughter followed, and to Stern's team it was just another shock moment. But to Dolly and her fans, it felt like a full-on character attack. Dolly rarely shows anger, but this time she spoke out publicly, saying, "I have never been so shocked, hurt, and humiliated in all my life. In a blue million years would I have had such things come out of my mouth." She called the segment vile and even hinted at legal action, something Dolly almost never does. Fans exploded in outrage. Country stations, longtime supporters, and casual listeners all rushed to defend her. Meanwhile, Stern didn't back down. He laughed it off, refused to apologize, and said people were being too sensitive. To him, it was satire, but to Dolly, it was deeply personal. For years after that moment, Dolly and Stern had no interaction at all. Dolly stayed on the high road, never trashing him publicly and letting the audience decide. Then, in 2023, something unexpected happened. Dolly appeared on The Howard Stern Show for the very first time. 15 years had passed and no one saw it coming. She was there to promote her genre-blending rock album Rockstar, and Stern was surprisingly respectful. He praised her legacy, her energy, and her voice. Still, the tension was undeniable, and it was clear Dolly was there on her own terms. And then there's Jeff Tweedy of Wilco. Dolly's status in music feels untouchable, but even legends get criticized. Jeff Tweedy, the respected frontman of Wilco, stirred headlines when he openly questioned Dolly's songwriting depth. While acknowledging her influence, he described her lyrics as superficial and suggested her success leaned more on persona than complexity. In one interview, Tweedy famously said, "No, I love Dolly Parton. All I know is that she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day, and I think she should have stopped after Jolene." That comment raised eyebrows everywhere. Reports later claimed Dolly was aware of his remarks and didn't appreciate them. As a songwriter who writes straight from lived experience, those words likely hit a nerve. Still, Dolly never clapped back publicly. She's always believed that if her music connects with millions, that speaks louder than any critic. In the end, Dolly Parton's journey has been anything but smooth. She's faced power struggles, public criticism, and painful betrayals, but she's handled it all with grace and strength. Her legacy as a songwriter and cultural icon is locked in forever. Now it's your turn. Which of these feuds do you think had the biggest impact on Dolly's career? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love deep dives into celebrity drama and hidden history, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss what's coming next.